I was able to figure out what was wrong with my first junk unit that I purchased pretty cheap off eBay. I already swapped out the CPU and the PPU from that board and ran the NES, and it didn't have any problems, so I was able to eliminate those two chips as what was causing the problem. I thought I'd move on to the U1 and the U4 next because of the nature of the problem. It's having some graphic problems, and also when I run the NES test ROM off the EverDrive, it does a test for the SRAM, and it says the RAM failed. It says like NG for no good, I think is what that means. So let me show you what it does when I load Super Mario 2. At first I thought the unit was fine, even though it said it was bad off of eBay, so I'm like, oh, I got a sweet deal. Then you go to play it, and it lets you kind of select your player, tries to load the first level, and this is about as far as it goes. Other games, it'll, like Super Mario Bros. 3, gets stuck in a repeating loop. So let me load that so you'll know what I'm talking about. Alright, here's Super Mario Bros. 3. Tries to start, and then it kind of just keeps resetting itself. It's almost what you would expect it to do if there was a lockout chip and a dirty game, but I disabled the pin 4 on the lockout chip for my test board, so I know that's not what's going on. And also the LED solid red, it's not blinking like if you're when it's going through that lockout chip thing. So I kind of suspected it was something going on with the U1, because it almost seems like there's something wrong with the logic, because on this screen there's no graphic problems, and Super Mario Bros. 2, the first opening screen, the graphics looked fine as well. So I figured I'd start with that one. So that's what I'm going to do. Now here's the U1 and the U4 that came out of this board, and they use identical chips, but the junk board I had has two different types of chips. It's got a sharp one here, and you can't really read that one on this video, but that's a Sony chip. There are also the skinnier versions, so I had to put a third row of sockets down on my test board to accommodate the smaller SRAM chips in there. So I'm going to go ahead and swap this one out real quick, and then we'll run a test. Alright, I've swapped out U1 with the chip I know that's good, and I left the Sony chip in U4 so I could isolate this LG chip, or the sharp chip I mean, and see if this is the one that's causing the problem. So I'll start it up, and look at that, it doesn't get stuck in its loop anymore. So I will have to find a replacement for that one and solder it back into the other Nintendo, just to make sure there's no other bad components with it. But it didn't have any other symptoms besides what I experienced when I put it to this board, so I suspect that's all that's going on with it. Now one thing that is kind of cool is I went ahead and swapped the chip, so I put the bad chip in U4 and had the good one still in U1, and I'll show you what that does and what kind of symptoms you might expect to see from that. So let me do that real quick. Alright, so I have a good chip in U1, and I put the defective sharp chip into U4, and let's start it up. I'll show you what that does. So it's not getting stuck in the loop anymore, but now all the graphics are jumbled and weird stuff's going on there, and you can actually play this game well, at least try to, if you can see what's going on. But so there's not a problem with the logic. It's just the SRAM for the video is causing some problems. Try to play this game with one hand, kind of tricky. So that's pretty much what you can expect to see if you have a bad U1 or a U4 chip. So hopefully, if you see something like this on one of your units, you can swap those out. Now, I'm glad that it ended up being these chips as opposed to the CPU or PPU, because I think those are a little bit harder to come across. As far as I think these chips are more universal. I might be able to find a suitable replacement, maybe one that's even still manufactured. But the CPU and PPU chips, I think, were custom made for the NES, so those come out of have to come out of other NESs, or they're going to be a Chinese knockoff that the color's probably not going to be right, and I don't want to substitute anything like that. So so that's it. That was my first use of my test board here, and it works just like I expected it to. It's really easy to swap out a chip. In fact, I'll demonstrate that real quick. One of the things I want to do is mount this in place, because the board flexes a little bit as I'm removing some of these components, and obviously the tray popped up on me there, and I'm afraid that if I don't have this nice and secure as I'm changing this out, then I could accidentally bend some of the pins on these chips and cause some damage while I'm swapping them in and out, and I don't want that to happen. I've also thought about maybe swapping the pin connector. I've got an old Famiclone that I really have no use for, so I was thinking maybe seeing if there's a way I can hook that up instead, so I can put the games in from the top, and they'll be locked in place a little bit better, so I don't have to fiddle around with putting them underneath. So that's kind of the plans I have in the future, but I think so far I think this test board is going to work out good for isolating components that might be damaged. So if you have any comments as far as things you might do to improve this board, I'd like to hear them. Let me know if you like this video, and if you do, I'll keep on making them as I am trying to fix these junk units I'm getting off of eBay. Thanks for watching.